Hello, everybody. This is Klint Macro and Jim Stoker with Firearms Owners Against Crime Institute for Legal, Legislative, and Educational Action. We wanted to talk to you today about a very specific piece of legislation that's coming up and educate you on it so that you can help us push your elected officials towards supporting this bill. So, Jim, what's the bill number that's coming up that we want to talk about?
It is Senate Bill 822 by Senator Langerholc.
Okay, so that one. And I'm sure you're going to explain this because that's kind of the point that we're here. This bill really gives a lot of teeth to our preemption here in Pennsylvania. So, Title 18, Section 6120, in essence, and I'm paraphrasing, says that no municipality can make a law that supersedes state law when it comes to essentially Second Amendment related issues. So, Jim, would you please expand upon what this particular bill is going to do for that?
Yeah, absolutely. So part of the problem we see here at FOAC, and one of the things that we do, is we deal with a lot of municipal government, city government, or county government that are overstepping their authority. So like you said, the preemption law, 6120, prohibits them from writing their own gun control laws. They can't control discharge, possession, transport, anything along those lines. And so that law is out there to actually maintain power with the General Assembly. The problem with the law as it stands is it doesn't really have any teeth. It's a misdemeanor offense for them to do it. So, City of Pittsburgh, AR-15 ban under Mayor Peduto, violation, should have been a criminal arrest, arrested for a misdemeanor offense. City Council that voted in favor of it, criminal arrest. But the district attorney here in Allegheny County would rather play politics than do his job. So they're not going to get up and they're not going to arrest the politicians. And we've seen this in Harrisburg and York and Reading and Philadelphia. We've seen it all across the Commonwealth. So it's become a problem where it's a violation of the law, but if nobody's willing to file the charges, then it's toothless.
Yeah. I mean, we spent a lot of money in Pittsburgh and Harrisburg and everywhere else. I mean, heck, even in Pittsburgh alone, a couple of years ago when Peduto enacted that illegal ban, what did FOAC pay at that time to basically defeat those illegal ordinances?
Yeah, I'm understanding we're somewhere between $100,000 and $120,000 invested in that lawsuit.
Yeah, and Allegheny County Sportsman's League had a separate case too. So there was a lot of money that was being thrown at that, and they just brazenly said, "Yeah, we know we're breaking the law. Come sue us." And unfortunately, when this occurs, we fight. When I say we, Firearms Owners Against Crime, we fight taxpayer dollars, and a lot of times these municipalities are given free legal support from Everytown and the anti-gun organizations. And the Everytown lawyers were the ones that were helping represent Pittsburgh as well as Harrisburg and Philadelphia. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, they were definitely in on Pittsburgh and I believe Philly. And I know Ceasefire was involved in Philly as well. And like you said, the problem is we're fighting our own tax money here, and we see these elected officials, they don't care. I mean, honestly, a lot of the folks that are voting in Pittsburgh or Philly or any municipality, they're only as in tune as they have time to be. And I think the elected officials know that unless we can make a big enough outrage in local media, that a lot of their own constituents are not aware that they're wasting tax money fighting this statute. And it's something that's been gone over time and time and time again. The Supreme Court of Pennsylvania has ruled on it repeatedly that it is field preemption. They do not have the authority to do it, but elected officials, this isn't coming out of their pocket. So they go ahead and they spend that tax money pretty freely. I mean, Lower Merion Township, for instance, we beat them on a preemption case not all that long ago. And then here they were this year. We just beat them again on yet another preemption case where they tried to use zoning law now to violate the rights of a local FFL in the area that was trying to relocate. So it's just tax money to them. And I guess they figure they have deep pockets. For us, it's a whole different story. It takes a lot of fundraising to come up with these lawsuits.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So this particular bill, I haven't had a chance to read it, so I'm gonna take your word on this. Is the language of this bill very, very much the same as the language of the bill that we got passed a couple years ago that the Governor Wolf, Mr. Wolf, vetoed?
Yeah, that guy named Wolf, huh? Yeah, it looks to me like it's an actual cut and paste. So it's the exact same as I think it was 979, the strengthening the preemption bill that went through. Matt Dowling was a state rep at the time, the primary sponsor on that one. And we did get that through both the House and the Senate. And it's not, what it's doing is basically strengthening the law that's already there. It's saying that, look, if you knowingly violate this law, you can be held accountable for the costs. So what it would do is it would give us the ability to charge the municipality or the city or county government that has violated the law for our fees what it costs us to beat them in court. And that's a critical step, because now you start talking about the Harrisburg case, for instance. The Harrisburg case has been going on since I think for 15 years now. I think is initially how long ago we filed that case. And I know the city of Harrisburg is out tens of thousands of dollars fighting this case with us with preemption. And the issue with it is, it's not their money. It's not coming out of the pockets of the mayor of Harrisburg. It's not coming out of their city council. So as long as they have that tax money to spend, they continue to fight this. If they've got to start paying our bills now, they start paying for our attorney, that doubles their investment to make it happen. And it also means that we're guaranteed that funding to go after the next municipality, city, or county that violates that law. So it's a critical step in actually giving this statute some teeth, where the district attorneys have essentially, and I can't say all of them because we haven't spoken to every district attorney in the Commonwealth, but everyone that we have spoken to in the counties where we filed has talked about, maybe I would talk to them or maybe I would send them a letter, but they don't actually file any charges against them. So it gives us some teeth in what we're doing.
Well, it would be a tremendous deterrent, right?
I would hope.
Our one of our big missions is education. So whenever we become aware of a preemption violation, Jim reaches out to them and says, "Hey, here's what the law is. Here's what you're doing, and here's why it's wrong, and here's why it's against the law." And there's been several situations, Jim, right, where we've brought that to the attention of the local municipality, and they're like, "Oh crap, I didn't realize that," and then they took down the signs or they repealed their law. But in these bigger cities where we're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars, they know it's wrong, and they're saying we don't care. So if you and I decided to say, you know what, this law right here, I know it's the law, but you know what, I don't care, I'm going to break it anyhow, you and I would be in jail. Like,
Absolutely.
so
Yeah,
we
and
need
what's
to hold
scary?
elected officials responsible for the laws that are passed by elected officials.
And something that's also scary about this, we talked about, we do send these long letters. I mean, these letters are 4 to 6 pages long, quoting case law and explaining to them why they're in violation. What's scary to me is you have some solicitors in some of these communities. Penn Argyl, for example, we sent them a letter. We explained to them why they're in violation. They basically ignore the letter. Their solicitor, we start to reach out to their solicitor more and say, "Hey, what are you going to do about this? We would rather educate than litigate," right? That's what we talk all the time. And you get a response from the solicitor that says, before you try to educate us, you might want to make sure you educate yourself, basically insulting me, telling me that we're wrong and that they're right. And then ironically, when we file the lawsuit, all of a sudden, guess who's repealing that ordinance and saying, "Okay, we're sorry, we're sorry, please don't sue us." But that ship has passed. We've already filed the paperwork in court, and now we're going to go after those legal fees if we can in the courtroom. So I don't know. I don't want to accuse any particular solicitor of ignorance. I don't want to accuse any particular solicitor of maybe intentionally allowing the lawsuit to be filed so they can make a profit off of the municipality that they work for. Not all of them get paid per case, but in my experience, solicitors are very expensive for these municipalities, and it's costing them a lot of money to fight something that has been illegal since 1974. And honestly, any attorney worth his salt should be able to look this up and see, especially when we're giving them, in some cases, 13 examples of case law showing why they're going to lose, and yet they still would rather pretend like we're wrong and try to put up a fight. So it's an expensive venture both ways, I think. And we've approached recently the Attorney General. You and I just had a nice sit down with Attorney General Dave Sunday a few weeks ago, and spoke to him about, hey, maybe we can get on board with better educating municipalities, getting that information out there so we don't have to go through this process. My understanding is they're reviewing that. They're trying to look and see what they could do or what they cannot do. But as he said to us, it's his job to make sure that the statutes of the Commonwealth are enforced, and 6120 is definitely one of those. So 6109M3 as well. We've talked about the State Museum in Harrisburg prohibiting firearms. It is not within their authority to do so. DMV, PennDOT, has signs on their PennDOT driver's license centers, no firearms. It is not within their authority to do so. Those have not been prohibited by the General Assembly. And so here we see a government overreach from government agencies who feel that they can just dictate people's gun rights on a whim with a regulation. So we had to bring that up as well. And We'll see what that goes with the Attorney General. But in the meantime, we have this Senate Bill 822 trying to strengthen preemption. And we have a hearing coming up this week, just in 2 days here in Harrisburg, to discuss the opportunity.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to seeing you testify. You're always really good in front of the legislators, and I'll be sitting behind you going, yeah.
I think a lot of folks will be sitting back there going, "Yeah."
Yeah,
So
I tell
we
you what, Jim, one of the things that brings me a great deal of joy, though, just looking at the work that we've done in the past and what Kim did prior to you and I becoming on board, is when we do send out those letters, and I do see the arguments that Josh Prince, our lawyer, makes. So much of the case law that is cited says versus FOAC, blah 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 township versus FOAC, and we see how much of that the track record that we have, and it's because of this law we've been able to defeat a lot of these local municipalities. It sure would be nice to have that deterrent of the possibility of getting those funds back from that tyrannical, if that's truly the case, that tyrannical like local elected official. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to seeing your testimony on Wednesday.
Yeah, absolutely. The written testimony has already been submitted. I know some of the national gun rights groups will be there. I believe, from what I've been told, I'm gonna be one of the first to testify, and I think that's largely because FOAC uses preemption unlike any other organization. The national organizations frequently go into these fights and battle them from a Second Amendment stance as a Second Amendment violation, and we've seen that work sometimes, not work other times. But as far as the 45 states, I believe, have preemption or something along that line. And I don't believe it's used enough. And we've used it very successfully. Josh Prince, as you mentioned, our chief counsel, he's an excellent attorney on Second Amendment issues. He is a firm believer that preemption is the way to go on most of these cases. And you've seen the track record. We've won every single case we've put into. The one you might be able to say is an exception is a county judge decided to allow Harrisburg to keep one of the 5 ordinances that we sued over. You could maybe call that one a loss. However, he told them with no uncertain terms that if they ever tried to enforce it, he's sure it would be preempted and it would get thrown out then. Harrisburg actually filed an initial appeal, believe it or not. And then after we filed our counter brief, they repealed their appeal. They rescinded it. We're going through with it anyway. We're going to make them eat that last ordinance too, since they wanted to push that button. So it doesn't. I hate spending the money when we don't have to sometimes, but I think it's important that folks in the Commonwealth understand that we're out there doing what's right for their rights here in Pennsylvania. Article 1, Section 21 shall not be questioned.
Yeah, and preemption does such a great job of like leveling the playing field. Traveling through all the states that I travel on a generally daily basis, when you get into states that don't have preemption, it's like every town, every county, every 10 feet, there's another gun law or the gun law changes, and it really sets up the law-abiding gun owner for failure. And the patchwork quilt of laws is just unmanageable, frankly. It's encouraging people to break the law even if they don't know that they are. And of course, we know ignorance of the law is no excuse. So having preemption here, I think, is a great thing for gun owners, and we need to strengthen it. So this bill should do that for us. So all of you guys watching today, please do your best to help get your legislators to support this legislation and see if we can get it across the finish line.
Sounds good. I've got a list of 132 municipal governments here for us to go after. So anybody that's willing to donate to the cause, please look us up at 2apa.org. Click on that donate button, or at least become a member here so we can move forward and deal with some of these pretty pressing matters.
Yeah, if you're a gun owner living in Pennsylvania, you really should be a member. It's the best $30 that you'll spend for your individual right to own and carry and use a firearm to defend yourself and those that you love. And we're an all-volunteer organization. We're all here right now on our own time. We're going to Harrisburg on our own time and our own dime here on Wednesday. And Jim spends many days of the week crossing the Commonwealth, putting on free seminars for people. And we do this because we live here too, and we want to make sure that our rights are in place and are expanded for when we turn all this over to the next generation. So please join FOAC today.